Hello and welcome back to Opposite Void. I'm your host, Forgotten Void, and today we're not going over the Chapayev. I have the Chapayev off because we're going over a Chapayev class cruiser. Now, I think you have... so you have Chapayev herself. You have Lazao. Chapayev and Lazao, which are a little bit different in the superstructure. And then you have Pavorsky, which is very similar. So we're actually going off of like the Pavorsky style, and there's the other one, the Kuznetsov. So you have Kuznetsov, Pavorsky, Lazao, Chapayev, and finally, the last flavor of Chapayev is on the Pan-Asian tree. Well, not on the tree itself. The Irian. So the Irian is also similar to Chapayev class. So they're all pretty much the same. They have 4 batteries of 152s. The difference between like the Pavorsky and Kuznetsov versus Chapayev and Lazao is the number of torpedoes. I believe Chapayev and Lazao only have triple launchers, whereas Irian, Kuznetsov, and Pavorsky, don't quote me if I'm wrong about Kuznetsov, I don't own her either. And she's rare anyways. But they have a set of 5 torpedoes instead of a set of 3, which makes them very useful. So they hit hard. And Irian herself has a torpedo reload booster. So she has torpedo reload booster in hydro instead of, I believe it's Defea in hydro that the others have. So she is more DPM focused and less onto anti-air, but she gets all of the weak points of a Russian light cruiser, which means 25 millimeters are all around 25 millimeters. Deck is 27, but still, it's pretty lightly armored. And then you have an armor belt, and take off the nose so you could, because that's kind of how you see the Citadel. Okay, yeah. I mean, the Citadel's in the water, but you're gonna eat Citadels. You eat Citadels from a lot of things. Cruisers, battleships, it doesn't matter. You are going to take a lot of damage. Sometimes you're lucky and get overpens, but if anything has plunging fire, or if it's a cruiser, you're going to eat Citadel damage, and it's not fun. So, 8-second main battery reload base. Not bad. So I will go back to the other ship to show. Let's see, Lazao. We'll go with, we'll do Pavorsky because it's tier 8. So we'll change commander. We'll give me a fresh commander. Okay. So for equipment, for them it's the same. You can go steering gear or propulsion because Pavorsky is pretty fast, but on Irian, the rudder shift is rather slow, and so that's why you can go with either on Irian. But for everything else, you just go with the standard everything and standard across the board for Irian. She has hydro and torpedo reload booster instead of this, so Pavorsky gets smoke. And then for skills, let's see, slow turret traverse. Yeah, Pavorsky also has the same. So slow turret traverse, so you want that. You kind of want last stand. You want to know when things are looking at you. You want to have adrenaline rush. For Irian, because torps, this gets you up to 20k per torp. So you want to have that. You want concealment expert to bring, like this one 11. For Irian, it gets you down to 10.5. And because you have such a low concealment, you do not want to upgrade gunner. So we'll do radio location instead. And then fill the tubes. And because Irian, you swap between... you can either do gun feeder, swapping between HE and AP, or you can do consumable specialist because this increases the reload speed for your torpedo reload booster, and because it has quite a bit of time, the consumable specialist knocks out quite a bit of time, even though it's only 7.5 seconds. And so this is the skill that I went up with my Irian when I was using it in battle. So with that, so here we have, it's Hermes. We have I believe we have a tier 9 team. I'll pull it up in a second, but yeah, yep, there's a Jaeger there. So this is, I know it's been asked a lot about people running, and so here's another example of running a tier 8 and a tier 9 and a tier 9 map. Yes, it makes the ships difficult. You generally, as a tier 8, it's not that much different. You just have to play more cautiously, because everything's going to pen you. Just outright everything is going to pen you and do damage. Now, they'll usually do less damage, so like for mines, it doesn't change. A few other ships, it doesn't change. But for the majority of tier 8s, you just have to play more cautious. So like torpedo destroyers, there's nothing. Almost zero change for torpedo destroyers. For what it really affects the most is cruisers, especially light and heavy cruisers. Battleships, it doesn't really change much. Yeah, so battleships and destroyers doesn't change much. Carriers, you have a lot more AA at the higher tiers. But I mean, the AA is debuffed a little bit, but there's a lot more flat clouds. So you have that. It's more flat clouds, but less overall AA damage. But the ships also have a higher AA output. It's complicated. But for cruisers, especially because the enemies have more, have a faster reload, or will have a higher penetration. So stuff that may or may not have penned you before in a heavy cruiser will absolutely pen you now. And for light cruisers, well, most everything penned you before, but now they definitely do. Because with 25 millimeters armor, at 150 pens 25 millimeters of armor anyways, so the only thing that would not pen you either way are destroyers 127s. Hermes, unfortunately, everything's pens you. It's actually a blessing in Hermes because you have more L-beams and whatnot that have low DPM. And because they have low DPM and nerfed alpha because you're in a tier 8, then it's actually easier. But for other modes, their DPM just goes up. Even though they have nerfed alpha, their DPM will go up because they will have faster reloads. So we turned out to try and not be the focus of fire, but now we're going to be the focus of fire from the other side. And so that's one thing that you have to kind of, when facing Hermes and you're at the lead of the pack, you kind of have to wiggle or zigzag in front of everybody to try and get yourself from not being the main target, because as long as you're the head of the pack, you're usually going to be the main target unless you get behind people. So like here, we're moving out and we're going in and out of detection because the destroyers are kind of at our detection, but the cruiser is not, and they're going behind an island, and so that's why our detection keeps flashing in and out. So now that we are out of it a little bit, we kind of pulled back, but now we're going back in. So that's why we're going to be targeted again, specifically by the Hindenburg. Because the destroyers, thankfully, are now closer to somebody else. So this is where you're sharing the armor. So only one ship is focusing on somebody. So instead of the enemy all focusing on one enemy, one of the player, their focus is split. So this is how you can better survive, because if all the enemies focus on one player, that enemy is dead. And that's why a lot of people don't like Hermes, because the way the op is designed, you generally have all the enemies focusing on one player at a time. And it takes teamwork and coordination to make sure that people get in and out of that focus so that everyone can survive. Which, when you're doing it random, with a bunch of random people, that's not really going to happen. So, normally with the torpedoes here for Irian, I have found that usually you want to do one side, torpedo reload, boost, shoot that side again, and then turn around and possibly get your last one out. So one thing about our torps here is we can throw them under the Akizuki, and it doesn't matter. And so I was thinking, do I do a torpedo reload booster? And then I'm like, wait, I gotta smoke up. And so, and see, look, they're smoking up. Because the reason why it's an Akizuki is going to smoke up is because to use the guns, obviously. That is the ships. It's not Akatsuki, which is the torpedo reload booster. No, it's Akizuki, so they're going to use their guns. So, however, this is very dangerous because they only did a small circle puff instead of dragging out their smoke screen. So this, yep, there we go. They're getting many overpens, so thankfully our trolley light armor is doing overpens. So we are able to use all of our torpedoes, so all 4 racks. But not able to actually get that many torpedo hits. Poison sped up, so we didn't get much on him. The Schlieffen sped up and said, "Get down, Mr. Hanover. Get down!" And is taking most of the brunt for the Hanover. So, and then that was, the last rack was meant for the Preußen. But thankfully, the Hanover is actually speeding up, and I think we might get 1 torpedo on the bow. And we set it on fire, so that's a perma-fire. So the good thing about those ships is with the fires, it's really nice. Lots of damage there. So this is where we get our good damage, because torpedoes only being able to hit cruisers or battleships. Hermes is also really nice because you have a nice, as you see, 300 HP per tick repair circle. It's the highest repair rate in all operations. In all operations that are among the random operations queue. I'm not counting special events. They have those have different kinds of repairs, but in the random operations queue, this is the highest repair rate. So we're stopping there. To repair more. 2, to dodge those torpedoes that were sent at us. Since we don't have def AA, while our AA is good, it's not great. Yeah, we have 600mm guns for AA, but the AA, it's long range is 144, and then at 5.8 kilometers, and then short range is 259 and so it's the short range that's really where we really want to do damage. But since it's 3.5, they're already dropping their load. Up, we hit 1 on the cruiser. Oh well. We're just getting that out there. Trying to do more damage. Maybe we'll hit the Frederick the Great. So I'm trying to see if they're going to, how they're going to go. I'm also lining it up to see if see how fast it's actually going. And it seems going pretty fast. So one thing about the Jaeger going up all the way north, the way it is. Oh, look, we got a torpedo hit on Frederick de Gross. Oh, there's torpedoes. And so now we're going to activate Hydro because we saw some torpedoes. That means more torpedoes are going to come. So now we're going to be stuck going in towards where the destroyers were, because they're pretty much dead. As more and more torpedoes keep coming our way. Anyways, so the Jaeger went up north really early, and so what that does is it makes it actually forces the spawn of everything early. And so Rune normally does not come this far south this early, but because Jaeger went up there, killed one of the cruisers, the cruiser that would have been in front of Rune, they're up there really active really early. And I mean, this actually is not bad because well, if we took time taking care of the Frederick and the destroyers, this would be a bad situation. But in this case, it's actually not so bad because it gives everybody a target to shoot at, specifically the Rune. Because normally it's really far away and hard to hit, and half the people aren't shooting at it. But now, because it's so close, everybody is shooting at it, and it's really easy to hit. And that's a double fire. I don't want to have a double fire. And Akizuki went, no torpedo hit for you. And so I don't get hit by a torpedo. Thank you. So, and the other thing is, because of this, I'm like, at the front, oh look, see, the destroyers are already there. I don't have the tools to deal with destroyers. Yes, I'm a light cruiser. They will gun me down. The 3 destroyers will absolutely destroy me. And since I have torpedoes that are deep water torpedoes and can be used against cruisers, I might as well use them against cruisers. Except these have Venezia, and Piemonte have really strong sap. And here is actually where I should have turned around. I should have turned back around. But I'm like, nah. We're to charge. We are going to charge. And so I'm being charged by Hindenburg and Elbing and Venezia. Not really the best situation. But I didn't really want to feel like taking out destroyers, and I thought maybe my torpedoes will hit. No, they do not hit. They do not hit. All these torpedoes in the water, and none of them hit. We'll use armor piercing and say bye-bye. But now, seeing my HP, like, oh, that's not much HP. I'm not going to do much there. So, seeing this, like, I should have done to the left of the left line. But knowing I'm going to die anyways, I take something out with me. And so I take out the Elbing, and the Hindenburg just barely dodges the torp. If I had gone a little bit to the left of the white line, I might have been able to hit the Hindenburg 2 and gotten another kill with that. But anyways, the reason why I wasn't too worried was because the other ships, our other allies, went up all the way. They took out the destroyers. There isn't much left. The Jaeger was up there being a menace, killing everything. He's about to kill the Richthofen. The Clausewitz that was stuck on the Richthofen. This is a feature right now. Feature. Where the Richthofen blocks the Clausewitz, because the Clausewitz spawns behind the Richthofen, and they have conflicting autopilots, and they'll ram and not do anything. But yeah, with the Jaeger up there early, he's able to get several of the cruiser kills and possibly block spawns. No, I think he just, everything spawns so early so that they go That's why they were coming after me, and that's why I had two Venezias in front of me instead of them normally going after the end, because everything was, as I said, spawned early. And if you really want to kill everything, that is a tactic to use, but it's a little bit of a selfish one, because if this team had not been actually good, like that's another thing, this team was actually decent. Maybe not the Amagi, but this team was actually decent, and so that's why, and the Jaeger did actually do well, and so we were able to fend off those waves as they came, even though they came early. But the downside of that is that now you're in the waiting game for Bourgogne. You killed everything, and you're just waiting around, and that's the biggest complaint people have of Raptor Rescue, is waiting around after victory has already been assured because all the enemies are killed. Jaeger says it turned out easy because he had a good team behind him. Even though we were the only one that died, we still got a 5-star. So we got assistant, about 1 million credits. I was using blue boosters. And 3 kills, only 2 citadels from that 1 AP salvo. Oh, look, we're at the top of the team. Actually, I was surprised. So I was surprised I got top of the team among this. I expected the Jaeger and maybe the Akizuki to do well, but apparently the Irian did better than the secondary battleships and the destroyer, the gunboat destroyer with smoke. But part of it might be that we just did so much damage to destroyers. Like, we didn't do that much damage. Like, yeah, sure, we did big hits to the battleships, but we did look at all that damage to the destroyer. Like, that's more than half its HP. Now, it's only 13k, but it's more than half its HP. And so if you're doing a lot of damage to destroyers, you actually get your rewards higher rather than doing damage to battleships, even though that inflates your damage numbers. And you see with the service cost, we're at 900k, 950k. So, I mean, it is a decent moneymaker. It's not the best, but it's also not the worst. That said, I would say maybe the tier 9, Darlana, is probably better. It's the tier 8 tech tree pushed up to tier 9 with a bit of improvements, and it gets normal torpedoes instead of deep water. But Irian, I mean, she's not a bad ship. She's not, I mean, I can't say I really like her, but she's also not terrible. Like, she's an okay boat. And as you can see, like, even with an okay boat, you can still do good again while we're in a team of good boats in a matchmaking that has things set up against you. So with that said, if you have any questions, any comments, or you want things to new ship in the future, you want op featured or whatnot, just let me know in the comments, and I will try to get around to it. That said, I hope to see you again next week. Have a good one.